Mad love to all you good people. The dedication get different. Repetition with the mission got the gift, and if you need it, call me. And shout out to you for listening to Jam Hot Radio. You in for a treat. Let's get it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Jam Hot Radio. I am here with Sir Dominique. How are you?
I'm really good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you so much. We've been trying to do this for a hot minute, so I'm really glad we could do this before we close out the year. I'm going to jump right into it and ask a question I ask everybody that comes onto my show. Name an album everybody should have in their collection and why.
An album that everybody should have in their collection.
I know it's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. So I was thinking about this. If it's up to me, I'm going to say More About Nothing by Wale.
Ooh.
Okay. I just think the intentional sarcasm, you know, the in and outs of the skits, just the storytelling in it, and you know, just the emphasis on lyricism and yeah, just standing for something more than people could even realize, and it stands against the test of time, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a mastermind.
Seriously, he's one of my favorite rappers.
I hate to say that, I sometimes forget about him, but
he was really underrated, and I think that, you know, because of, you know, how the industry has changed so much, and he didn't ride the wave and didn't ride the trends of social media and different things like that, you know, he just didn't stay as relevant as some other artists. But man, when I was in high school, that dude was my guy. We actually got to see him live at Millersville when he came to Millersville for the homecoming. So that was pretty dope.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, cool. So, all right, you're a poet, you're an MC, you're an educator, artivist. Am I saying that?
Artivist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So which came first? And I want to go back to artivist and what that means exactly to you.
Definitely. You know, it's kind of difficult for me to pinpoint what came first. I would say that, you know, I've always been a good writer. My mom was a teacher growing up, so like she was very intentional about pushing me to you know, just explore my thoughts around, you know, reading, writing, my interests, but as well as that, like, not make it too punitive, but instead of like punishing me in traditional ways, she would make me have to read a certain amount of books or like do things like that. So I always was really interested in writing my own stories and stuff. But I became an educator officially in like 2015, 2016, and it definitely changed my life immensely. But until the pandemic, and I started seeing people like, shout out to my guy, Mr. Ellis, the teacher. He actually teaches kids multiplication with hip hop music. When I saw him doing that, I thought he was the coolest guy on the internet. Yeah. I thought that was just so dope. And he's from Lancaster. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, cool.
So I'm like, you know what? I know I can do something like this, and I always loved writing poetry. I used to make music when I was a youngster with some of my cousins and some of my friends, but I never had a purpose behind it. I always knew I was witty with the words, but didn't really know what I stood for. And now that I do, I mean, we just been running it up. So I think to encompass all of those things, that's what Artivism is. Like using your expression, your art form to make some type of change, social, economic, you know, environmental, political, whatever it might be. If you see a way for you to make an impact with your art, you're an artivist, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I saw something the other day on Instagram along the lines of, if you're an adult and you're still creating art, you're already winning. Because I feel like so often we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle, being on the grind, and like what it means to be an adult, and we lose sight of our inner child in that, and what we want to do, and that's create at the end of the day. I mean, for me anyways. So I kind of keep that in the back of my mind when I am kind of tense, or I'm like, you know, not feeling 100% myself. I come back to. You
saying something right now. That's my boy Terry Mack would say. You saying something right now. That was deep.
It's true. I like it was like such a simple phrase, but I'm like, you know what? That's so true. Like I am fully living because I am still creating in some way. So awesome. Now, I want to kind of reflect or reminisce a little bit on when I first heard your music, I rap. I call it rapping, but I feel like it's so much more than that because you put so much emotion behind what you're saying, and you're really reaching.
Rap is rhythm and poetry. So,
it is.
You know, I just call it poetic.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. So I was actually on my way to dinner, and I was late to dinner. So because I was you guys were in the square doing something with some young youth, because I remember I was recording and you said, oh, he's 16. It was a young group of guys.
Okay. I'm almost.
I feel like it was a couple summers ago.
Okay.
It's been a little bit.
If I'm not mistaken, that would have been the first T-Mac mill drop. I don't know if you're familiar with Tyrion Mac,
Yes.
but T-Mac, he had a mill with Blazing Jays. It's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a T-Mac takeover with Music for Everyone, a Music Friday.
I think that's
we had
what
some
it
amazing
was.
artists
I think
out there.
that's what it was.
Some of our mentees from high school were out there killing it.
I
They're
love that.
great MCs.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so fulfilling, I'm sure.
definitely.
But talk about how you tie in the work that you do with building the community and how honestly, you are making it a better place out here. So.
Well, I mean, for starters, it's as simple as being the person that I needed growing up. You know, it's just ironic you asked that question because I wouldn't even be a spoken word poet, right? I'm not saying like a poet, like I was a poet, I guess, by writing and stuff, but I wouldn't be a spoken word poet if it wasn't for the person that owns the establishment we're in today. So shout out to a Concrete Rose.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful establishment. But Avita Cologne was the first spoken word poet I ever seen before. And you know, I always aspired to do something of that sort, but never really took the leap until 2020, really. But you know, tying in, you know, ways for young people to express themselves has always been the goal since I started to, you know, take this leap of entrepreneurship for myself. But more so finding ways to, you know, tap in with how kids learn today, right? Incorporating not only the creative attributes that, you know, we provide, but like tying them into the things you need to know to be successful in the real world.
Right.
Like
That's
there's so
real.
many times I think back at the things I learned in school, and me and my friends, we joke about it like, oh man, I don't use none of that stuff today. But then I think about it like, they definitely talked about that in school and we were not paying attention,
Yeah,
you know?
that's so true.
So finding ways to be able to tie those in, making school more fun, really turning the neighborhood into the classroom. That's my new thing. Moving into 2023, we turning the neighborhood into the classroom.
Yes,
So
you can learn every step of the way. There's
that's
something
your
to
crib,
learn about.
like,
Yeah.
definitely.
And you get on a level with some of the younger kids especially too, like relating it to something in everyday life will help that lesson really click for them.
Definitely.
So.
And it keeps our community tight. It keeps people wanting to stay here and find jobs and ways that they can help serve people. So to me, it's a win-win situation.
I love it. I love that. So let's talk about what you've been working on lately. The prolific steppas. What you're always scheming something, and it's so fun to watch. But let's hear a little bit more about it.
Well, I guess to unpack it a little bit, right? You know, last year would have been like the first year that I started really like taking myself serious as an artist, as like personally as an artist. You know, as you know, Sir Dominique Jordan specifically, and you know, I kind of just adopted this title of the prolific one because I'm very heavily influenced by Nipsey Hussle. You know, the marathon continues. Like that dude was ahead of his time. You know, from the music to the messaging to like just his business savviness, and he inspired so many people before, death, and after. And I, you know, just aspire to be that for my community, even if it's not for the whole world, but like at least like I don't need a statue, you know what I mean? But like I just want some respect. Like that's it. Like I really want to push not only creatives to be able to pour into young people and activate that like inner artivism, but as well as for, you know, inspire the community to realize how much power creatives truly have. And not just creatives, but all people. We all have these innovative ideas and aspirations that like societal zip ties just kind of squeeze out of us and make us feel like we're not adequate enough or something. So all in all, that's what I hope to do. But more specifically, last year I dropped a project. It was an acronym. It was called Rebel, the Rebel EP. It stood for oh my goodness. I'm gonna get back to you on the acronym because it's like crazy that
Kevin had to do that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the new project, I wanted to drop a new project. Last one I dropped on January 23rd. Today my nanny passed away when I was 9, so it was kind of like to culminate, you know, just my experience as a musician from her influence. But this year I wanted to create a project that culminating some of the spoken word efforts that not only I put in, you know, Avita put in, Thundercat, so many other poets that have been riding this wave with us, and that's what the prolific one is about. I've been blessed enough to travel this country by myself this year. New York City, New Orleans twice, LA, DC, Baltimore, so many different places. And a lot of times, like I'm going to those places and I'm performing poetry. Sometimes music, but it's, to me, even when I'm doing music, I'm always performing poetry. So this was like my way to put together a poetry culmination project. It's a spoken word project. It'll be released on all streaming platforms on December 31st. So yes.
I can't wait to hear.
It's gonna be so cool. I got some special guests on there. I want to give all the beans away, but Rock 10 Productions did something for me. The Kaleidoscope did something for me. My boy Ben Oaks did something for me. Adrian Rose. Like I got the top engineers around here on this.
Lancaster is so great.
Yeah, like we got some amazing people. Definitely.
Just like hearing that list alone, it's just reminds me of how much talent that we have in this city.
Agreed.
I think it's fuels that creativity even more when you get together with like-minded individuals that, you know, they see you, they hear you, and they can help you elevate that sound.
Definitely. And the best part is, you know, I align with people who truly believe in the message and the vision. They're not really worried about like as much tech per se, or like, of course they want to have it like at a quality standard, which I would say this is my first project where like we really were paying attention to the standard and the quality of the project, but it's raw, it's rugged, it has a lot of live instrumentation. So with that being said, you know, I wanted to give people this poetry project because of all the open mics we've been hosting and just building up spoken word. But moving into next year, myself as an artist, I'm never stepping away from poetry, but I want to enhance my poetry more with my live band. Yes. And that's the Prolific Steppers.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. I'm so excited about that.
So I would tell you this, the Prolific Steppers is a collective of not only musicians, you know, vocalists, that are some of the best musicians Central PA has to offer. I'm really big on just bringing people together who may know each other but have never worked together, or just people that I really think are so talented that just don't get enough like points raved about them. So like right now, you know, we're a collective made of a bunch of musicians that, you know, when one can't make it, another one can fill in. But you know, we got my man Daniel Pilgrim from Europe, we got Chandler from York, we got Lady K, we got Ben Roth on the bass, we got Albie or Clementine, let's say he goes by Clementine, Nathan Cross, K-Rock, like, oh, it's like these, I know these musicians respectfully in their own light, you know, to bring them in one space. Like people are even coming to me that do this for years, and I'm like, dude, how did you get them all on one? I don't know. This is organic, you know, just to find people that really know what they're doing, to believe in me, and they push me to be a better musician. You know, learning my keys. You know, because now I'm singing. Like I'm not even just like rapping and doing poetry anymore. Like we're really harmonizing together. You know, I got some amazing vocalists on the team. Shout out Nivy. She's one of the best musicians I've ever heard in my life. Voice. She's my vocal coach. So it's like she be pushing me, you know, and so with that being said, moving into next year, you know, we're going to be gigging a lot more. We did a lot of dope gigs this year, but you know, moving into next year, we're hoping to, you know, give people an actual like sense of what we do. So in February, we're actually dropping a project. It's a 4-track EP. Cool. And more than likely, I don't know what the title is. Maybe the fans can help us figure out a title. But I'm thinking self-titled, like the Prolific Steppers. But if we can find something more creative than that, then we'll ride out. But it's really dope, really dope.
That's so fun to just... I love watching a plan come together start to finish, especially creatively, when you put your heart and soul into building something that you love, and you put it out there to, honestly, you want to touch others and get them to come out of their shell, get creative, but the messaging and the words that you're sharing are coming from such a deep place.
Definitely.
You talk a lot about mental health, you talk a lot about your upbringing and just the adversities that you're faced with throughout life. So I do also want to say thank you for actually being that kind of voice for the male community. I feel like men are not taught to reach inward and share those feelings. So the more that they hear more men doing this, I feel like the more that they'll share as well. So
I can tell you this, you know, just since you mentioned that, thank you for not only having me on the platform, but to be able to share, you know, my gifts, because at the end of the day, you know, most people don't want to hear the lyricist, and it's crazy to me because the lyricist has the most to say.
I know.
But I can't even take the credit of just being vulnerable because my mother taught me that. My mother is the reason why I do what I do today. She's the one that told me when I'm writing raps about things that I didn't understand or that I was talking, vulgar or disrespectful. She's like, dude, you're way too smart for this shit.
Yeah, shout out to moms.
Yo, for real,
Moms in general, but shout out to your mom. I love that.
And my mom's actually a spoken word poet now too.
Oh.
So she got her first feature coming up at the top of the year. So if y'all don't know Miss A, learn about Miss A. She's different.
Wait.
Yeah, she's fire. She's fire.
That's so awesome.
Definitely. Having my number one supporter front row at every show, and I could even call her at any time to pull her up on stage to kill it.
Yeah.
It's different now. You know what I mean?
Love
Life
that.
is changing.
That's
so
that's so
Definitely.
heartwarming though. Like just such a full circle moment from the time your mom made you read books for discipline to getting up there on stage with
Definitely.
her. That's amazing. So, okay, tell us one more time what's coming out New Year's Eve.
It's a 6-track spoken word EP, and it's really dope. It's very diverse. Some of them you may have heard on my Instagram page before or stuff like that. But yes.
Sir Dominique, thank you so much for having me and chatting with me. I'll be sharing so much more in regards to his music, his writing, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna have some fun at a Concrete Rose for open mic night tonight.
The last one of the year. We wish you were here, but you will be here next year, right?
Next time. We'll see you later.
We never had it like that, so no need to be jealous. Cause when life gave us lemons, we made lemonade just to celebrate. I relish in my own delusion, and this hotel room is like a box me and my family forced to break or get in tune with one another. The slightest perception can ruin the most beautiful union. What the God MC say, nobody wins when the family feuds.